I was just going to get your name. Like I said, I get the name.
Some sort of. Yeah, there you go.
Call this meeting in order. Before we get started, will everybody please silence your phone? And we'll have to pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Brenda.
Atkins,
Here.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Frankel,
Here.
Reedy,
Here.
Broyles,
Here.
Cottle,
Here.
Couse,
Here.
Hicks,
Here.
Knuckles,
Here.
Todd,
Here.
Wright,
Here.
Maynard.
Here. Number 3 on the agenda is approval of the minutes for regular and executive session. The regular minutes, we're gonna have to postpone. Looking at them, there's needs to be some corrections to it. One is that nothing mentioned about our moratorium for 6 months on accepting applications. And in the minutes, we need to call people by Mr., not by our first name. So we need to make some changes. And from now on, I'm asking for we electronic put the minutes out, and my name at the bottom of the approval of them. They come to me first, where I can check them out and make sure they're correct, so we don't have to keep making corrections in the meeting. So for executive session, do I have approval and questions on it?
The only question I have is, whenever you have a executive meeting minutes, they're supposed to be in general and not specific. So like, kind of tell what we were talking about on the litigation, I think maybe going too far. Those are all private matters. So that's just my take. You may feel differently, but that's generally supposed to be a broad scope of, we're just discussing legal matters. So they're supposed to be private, not leading toward or showing you leading. And then what's under number 4, I mean, it was open discussion and it's in a private setting. I think that might be going a little too far.
Any other questions, concerns? Do we have approval?
Make the motion to approve them, noting Chuck's, points.
We have a second.
I second approve.
Brendan, roll call.
Atkins,
Yes.
Boswell,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yeah.
Royals,
Yes.
Cottle,
Yes.
Couse,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Public hearing, we have none tonight. I will ask Kyle to swear in our new member, Dave Thorne.
Do we have the oath? I don't know.
I had it.
I do. If we got time first. What they do.
Did I have to hand it out?
Yeah, probably do.
Give me after the meeting.
So the packets that I handed, or that I carried.
I think they're in what?
It went around.
Did everybody get the emails that should have been passed? The ones that I just handed out.
That in that, that's mine. Put it in that somewhere.
This is, of course, right, this is the wrong one. We're supposed to. Yeah.
Did you guys get the,
Wait, hang on.
All right.
oh, okay.
That you solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and you will faithfully, impartially, diligently discharge the duty of the office of Area Planning Commission of Grant County, Indiana, according to the law and best of your ability. What do you say?
I do, if we'd like to have a copy.
Yep.
The-
Take a signature.
We're good.
Okay.
Sorry.
Number 6, we're gonna skip over. Most of you got your Brian Rector report and everything. Anybody have any questions on that? Kyle said he didn't have nothing. Number 7, another business. I have something I'd like to do right now. That it was approached to me 2 months ago, asked if we did anything for members who put a lot of time on APC and who've been here for a lot of years. And I said, no, we never honor them. That person said if we would, he said he would buy the stuff, so it's anonymous. So tonight I asked Mike Burton to be here, and I'd like him to come up here where I'm at. Mike, for all the years, you put time on the ABC with the commissioner, coming down to it. You was here the 8 years I was here, almost 8 years. So as president of the APC, I'd like to present this thing, appreciation to you for your time and effort.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of you guys, I'd like to let the audience know, some of them are elected officers here, some of us ain't. And we give a lot of our time, free time. So I think when the person asked me, I thought, well, okay, they're willing to buy it. I think we should honor these people. Mike is getting ready to come off the commissioners and getting ready to retire. He had left here. How many years did you put in?
How many years you been in life?
So about 20 years between auditor and commissioner,
Okay.
20 years.
So he's put a lot of time down here with us, and I'd like to thank him for his time tonight.
I'd like to second that, of the many people that we have worked with over the years on APC. One of the strongest and one of the most honorable, members that we have had. I've been here about 14 years, and I was honored to be a colleague with Mr. Burton on, this committee. So, Mike, I'd like to second everything that Rex has said and double down on all that. You'll be sorely missed, not only here, but as a commissioner as well. We wish you well and Godspeed.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything to it?
I would just say thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Okay. 6.1, legality.
Now, Rex, I got a couple of questions. I'm new,
Okay.
okay, so I got a lot to learn.
Okay.
You know, we suspended receiving applications, and in the plan commission's basics, it states that the commission needs to establish policies and procedures for accepting and processing applications. I don't know that we've been involved in any of that application discussion.
I thought, Randy, before we go any further,
Mhm.
I thought about that. We'll bring that up in December, and we'll talk more about that. What's our facts and findings, and what we're looking at now.
Okay,
Um,
okay, fine. I mean, the only
what
thing,
performance and that.
yeah, the only thing that concerns me is, you know, Ryan shared this with me at the last meeting, and it appears to be, you know, somewhat of an application.
I know.
Okay.
We'll discuss that.
Okay, so, okay, secondly, I've heard statement that there's 36 landowners that have signed contracts. I don't know where that number come from, and somebody has to have some information in regard to who signed a solar contract in order for that number to be out there. Is that number
That
something?
come from the, Steve asked the solar companies at the panel at Marion.
Okay, did we get that? So do we have knowledge of who those landowners are that have signed contracts?
I believe Mr. Wright asked them how many they represented,
Okay,
and it equals 36.
but regardless
On
specifically
stage.
where they're at, we don't know. Okay. And then I guess based on that decision that we made last meeting in regard to suspending applications for large solar developments, we are still accepting applications for small solar developments, correct?
Right.
Have we received any applications for small
For
developments?
residential, yes, not for minor.
Okay, not for mine.
And I don't know if I can bring up, we had talked about what was brought up, as far as what Mr. Atkins, brought up. That ordinance, your 153.075 zoning map and text amendments, the 6-month moratorium for the hold is for pending, under active consideration, or with changes to be considered, and would not be towards an adopted ordinance.
Okay, then I guess that would bring my question up. How could we receive an application if we don't have one developed yet? And if we haven't had the opportunity as a board to
I agree with you too, because we don't have one developed,
For residential,
and it's supposed to be approved by this board, the way I understood.
residential is governed under the Indiana Residential Code, Chapter 3.
I don't think any of us have any, I'm gonna speak for myself. I don't have a problem with residential or small solar. So I don't know to understand where you're coming from with that. So are we,
it was a misinterpretation of our ordinance. This is stating that if we have an ordinance that is pending or being considered, that we can put a 6-month moratorium on. It doesn't say that we can put a moratorium on an adopted ordinance.
okay, so what are you telling us?
Just bring it to your attention.
Okay.
Kyle, do you concur?
Yeah, no, I concur with that. Well, I think what it basically says is where we technically allowed to do what we did. And if it was an adopted, it went through the whole process and it finally ended up and passed the commissioner's level, do we have the authority to put them, we have an authority?
Yeah.
And it sounds like no to a finished ordinance. It's still being developed. We can put. So I think that are we outside our boundaries?
Yeah.
And it sounds like if that is correct.
But the question I got is, it's gonna come to Kyle. Are we out of our boundaries? And since we don't have an application approved yet, because from what I understand, being on this board, when we approve an application after Kyle, Ryan gets done with it, we have to prove it. We have to prove no applications, anything like that, that we're supposed to be proving. We have not proved none of that yet.
But again, Rex, what I let Randy see, that was for inter-office checklist.
Yeah,
That wasn't something that I would hand out to the solar
I know,
company.
but I'm just saying.
That was for our knowledge. You guys know, I've been looking at Posey County. They have an entire development. The drainage board, I gave them a copy of the plan on that. That was about that thick.
Yeah.
What we are going to get handed is probably going to be like this over time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, if I printed Posey County, it's probably that tall.
So are we out of?
No, you guys can promulgate to enforce the ordinance. Your job is to enforce the ordinance, part of that process. So, I mean, application process, yeah. You have to follow the ordinance, but yeah, obviously there's an application process in there. You can develop that.
Yeah,
And I mean, at this point, everything moves. There is no pending application and there's no one approaching, to my understanding, to even apply at this time. But I mean, yes, you can develop it to enforce the ordinance, and that's what, I mean, you're charged with enforcing the ordinance. That's your job.
But I believe what he was asking is the moratorium on that section of it. So the answer would be based upon what you said and what he's read. The answer is no. We cannot impose on you.
I would agree with that, correct.
But we don't have an application to offer somebody for them to apply.
That is true.
and I think that's what we really meant to say. Until we get a chance to work on an application, have it ready. If we should we have to change that, the way we ordered it? Vote on it again and change the wording?
I mean, you can always take a motion and, if someone wants to make a motion to do that, yeah, you can always do that. I mean, you can develop an application and I don't know where that is in the process. I mean, you say you're gonna talk about next meeting and, it's moot at this point because there's no one knocking at the doors and
Yeah.
I want the application.
Can we set time limit on that?
Yeah. You could, reasonable time limit, I think, as far as how you can do that.
Going to have to adopt it. Discussions. I have a question that I think is pertinent that we probably ought to address for you, Mr. Persinger. If somewhere down the road, litigation, in fact, it's already happening, I guess, with BZA has filed, determined that they want to litigate with the commissioners. It would be my understanding, I think, from having talked with you a little bit, that you would not participate in representing the APC if we were involved, or the BZA, or the commissioners. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, I have a conflict.
You'd be
Party on side, correct.
Okay, so if that were to happen, then it'd be incumbent upon this group and any other group that's going to be a party to the litigation to find other representation.
Correct.
Okay. There's one that
Steve, you got something?
No, I
Yeah,
I was
I think
scratching my
you're-
head. I'm sorry,
I
sorry.
think your hand moved.
Thank you for publicly stating that, so that's clear.
Anybody else got anything?
So as far as the application process, the paperwork, are you have you started working on that again or working on that as far as, 'cause I thought at one point we were told to stop.
I worked on it, what I worked on, I showed Randy.
Okay.
We've got our new software coming in now, so that's set to the side.
But we do need to,
So I'm asking you guys right now, do you wanna make a correction? Or do you wanna leave it the way it is? For what Brian said. Saying the way I took it, and what Robert took it, that we cannot put a moratorium. But we can put a, right up from Kyle, fire. We could put a stop hold and take an application till we get our paperwork. Yeah. So do you guys want to change that, or do you want to leave it the way it is? Somebody want to make a motion?
I propose we take Kyle's recommendation on how to uh, fix whatever it is that is suspected to be incorrect.
Okay, that would
We've got to have some time to, approve and create the application before we can receive them.
And the other thing is going to be, our new software coming in is going to be a 12-month process altogether. At some point, that application will be worked into our workflow as far as online. So it'll actually be within the new software. So that's where I kind of, like I said, that was kind of a checklist for us.
Yeah.
But the actual applications will be within our new software. And, again, with you guys, we'll kind of, here's what we want, and then they'll develop it. They'll bring it to us to look at, to make comments on. We send it back, they continue to develop. When it's ready to go, they'll give it to us to test. Once we've had a chance to test it, then we'll give it back to them before it ever goes live. So right now, that's a roof permit. That's where we're at. We went through beginning to end on a commercial permit. We have Wednesday is our next work day. We gave her a bunch of stuff we'd like to see within it. She's making those changes to get back for us to start testing. So it's just in office testing. And then when we're comfortable with it, we'll have one go live. We're hoping to do 4 a quarter. The other thing is, as we learn the permits and how to do them, and IT learns them, we'll be able to start doing them on our own, which will speed the process up when we can do the whole workflow ourselves.
I think with the application process that we're talking about, before we just automatically move that thing through the software forward, I think this body would like to approve that application. So.
But we can actually even give usernames and roles to where you guys can get on and see them.
Okay,
Well,
because I think what we need to do, right, if I understand our rules since I've been here. If you made them up, you need to bring them and send them to us for approval. The way I took it. Am I wrong, you guys?
We'll have to figure out how to get them up here, because there's not something I can print to say,
I know.
hey, there it is. It's going to be you answer this, and it goes, depending on how you answer this, the workflow splits. So I can't just say, here's a permit.
Yeah.
It's a whole program. If we can get it up here, we can demonstrate it.
So what you guys want to do with it?
so paper form, we should be able to do it within the next 4 or 5 months, maybe. But getting it online is a whole different ballgame. So we have to have something on paper form.
As
If
far
somebody
as,
were to come in February and say, I want to apply.
as far as solar, we would figure that would be toward, solar, CAFOs,
Right.
all of those type of
far as
applications
getting
will be
online.
on there, but that's gonna be,
Online will be but
yeah, we're-
paperwork wise,
we're hoping to get roofs, room additions,
Right.
remodels are basic on there, because even as we get these set up and going, we've got to teach the contractors how to get on, how to use it. Contractor registration is another thing that we're working on right now. Generally in November, we would send out our contractor registration for next year. So Stacia right now is hoping to have that contractor registration done so that when we send the letters out to the contractors this year, they can at least get on, get a username, and register online. Once they do that, then that generates, if we would put a permit live, it emails all so that they know that this is live, this is live. What's our
Your
other?
estimation is that in terms of a timeline, before we would be ready to have an application that somebody could come in and process, that sort of thing, is 5-6 months out?
Yeah, she's telling us
At
12,
least that.
she's telling us a 12-month process. IT's learning it right beside us, so they're gonna be the leaders in putting it together.
But we're looking at a matter of months. So what we're talking about here is the moratorium. We're saying, hey, we can't do that kind of thing. But in reality, we're not gonna be prepared for another 5 months to.
Right. I don't know, the directors I've talked to, like Miami County is what I base that off of. A lot of directors, they're handed development, and that's the application too. I mean, they're
There's gonna
handed.
be a while before we're ready to do
Right,
anything.
yeah, that'll be intense
Okay.
to try to put something.
I think the interest here, Ryan, is that if we're gonna be asked to approve something, it would be nice that we understand what it is that we're approving.
Right. And if I can get it up there, like I said, but we've had 2 work days so far, so we're still rookies.
But to that effect, were you making a motion to rescind the action that we took at our last meeting with the moratorium? Based on Mr. Persinger's interpretation of that we didn't have the right to do that?
And I can rescind that and tag to it that, that we review and approve an application before it's received.
So your motion is to rescind our action of the last meeting regarding application moratorium, but will not put applications out until we have reviewed and approved.
Correct.
The application itself. Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
We got a second,
Second that.
roll call.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yeah.
Royals,
Yes.
Cottle,
Yes.
Couse,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright.
I'll abstain.
Just, I'm not trying to cause problems. I would recommend that the APC review the ordinance and read through the section for applications. Just so that you have, I mean, it says application, part of their application is giving us a summary statement, a site description. It defines what the application is. Again, read it. We can come back to it next month, but just, I'm not trying to poke the bear. I just, we have a definition for application in here and what's required for it.
I said, we haven't got that.
That's in
Draft
draft
forward.
forward.
It is part of the ordinance for application.
What he's saying is, it's telling him what.
Yeah, it's very spelled out what they gotta,
Yeah,
what
what
the
they-
applicant has to apply.
I mean,
Right. In their form, some of them may be forms we have to generate, some is a report that they got to generate.
Before I go any further on other business, I'd like to thank the public for all the letters they sent in. And ending the meeting, I ask every board member here, commissioner, come to me, and I will give you copies of the letters that the people sent in, so that you can look at them and make whatever decisions you want with them this time.
They'll be attached to the
Attached to the minutes next month's. 6.1, legality. What you guys want to do?
I'd make a motion that we ask for a disinterested third party, an attorney, to review the ordinance that has been submitted, which is Commissioner's Ordinance 6.1.
No, it's 2004.
That we submit it for review to determine whether or not there are substantial or procedural reasons to consider litigation. And I would also attach to that review, employment of an outside attorney to do that review be subject to finance being provided by the county to cover that cost. Cost, you know, I don't know how much that would be. Mr. Persinger might be able to give us an approximate idea of what it might take to review that, and come back with a recommendation as to whether or not there are procedural or substantive grounds for litigation. What would be your ballpark?
If you're just doing a simple review, I don't know, I guess I would probably put in there $3,000 for make sure you get an April review, and that would be subject to county council. That would have to be appropriation request for the county council.
That'd be my motion.
One question.
Yeah.
Mr. Bond. And, Mr. Persier, can outside funds be applied to this? Do they have to come through the county council?
We would just need to have some means that would get us outside funding more available for the attorney or whatever. I just want to make sure that if we are going to employ someone to do this review, that there is financial support for it.
Now, there have been people that have approached me and said that we would be willing to help fund that or get the funds.
Now, this would be a simple review to determine if there is cause to consider going forward with litigation. This is not the final litigation.
But it wouldn't have to come through the county council to approve.
I don't think so, Mr. Persinger.
Well, I think you're still doing county funds, but you're doing it as the area plan commission. You could get outside funds donated, but I think they have to be donated through the county. I mean, obviously, any private party is able to evaluate their own lawsuit outside your guys' purview.
I think we should seek the county council to get in there. Because the next step, if grounds were found, and if this group determined they wanted to go forward with it, the next step is to actually litigate and hire an attorney to represent you. Attorneys can cost up to $350 an hour, depending on who we're getting. Maybe Bose, McKinney, and Evans, Ice Miller, those people may charge, I don't know, more than that. Yeah.
I can tell you they do, yeah.
Out of mind, they're going to be talking big bucks if you were to extend this thing out. And the county council either needs to determine whether or not they want to support this financially. I think our possibility of moving forward depends upon having financial support. So that's the reason I included that in my.
I'd be willing to agree to that if we were going to address my concerns also on that one, because
Okay, I had
looking,
that. Yeah.
looking at draft four just doesn't necessarily address my concerns. I would like to make sure that, we are clean in that process too, as
Okay.
far as any conflicts,
Well,
anything like that, if we're
conflict
going
of
to.
interest kind of thing, we'd
Yeah.
ask you to look at that as well. Yeah. I amend my motion to include that.
Are we looking for any other discussion?
Any others?
We hadn't even got a second yet.
Well,
We gotta
I know that, but I mean,
We gotta have,
usually you have a second and then you can have more discussion. I didn't want to be
Yeah.
left out.
do we gotta have a discussion before I go to second?
Well, I mean, this may be the route to go. Have we actually gone back and formally asked the county commissioners on, I'm assuming, is this the only sticking point within for legality of the whole ordinance?
Yeah.
So if we get this one resolved, are we gonna pick on another one? So as far as we know, this is the only sticking point within. Have we gone and asked them formally for them to come back to us and give their interpretation, how they justified that, where's their whatever to say, yes, we believe we can do this based on this code or this code, and bring that back to us and see if it's acceptable before we go spend the money. Or maybe they all say, oh, well, maybe we do need to adjust this. You know, I don't know if anybody's actually gone back and said, hey, I know you, Steve, you're the liaison, I don't know if that particular thing is, have you guys, or do you need to maybe have, whether it be Kyle here or some other person that's versed in that particular realm of law or whatever to say, yes, but there's precedent in this county or this county of the way it's done, or maybe not. I mean, yes. So I mean, rather than bringing out big guns or small guns to start, maybe big guns down the road.
I recall in a commissioners meeting, an individual tried to bring this to the commissioner's attention through a point of order, and they were denied.
Got a motion on the floor.
Do we have a second or any other thought?
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Just so that you guys are aware, and I've sent this to you guys too. Just, our Purdue snapshot that's sent out. And I've got a breakdown of what every county does. According to the Purdue snapshot, this came out in April, 16 counties permit solar energy systems by right in the agricultural district. Of these counties, Clark County is the only county that does not require additional use standards. 23 counties, there's 46 solar ordinances in the state. 23 counties permit solar energy systems by special exception in agricultural districts. 7 counties would require rezoning to permit a solar energy system. 5 of these counties use overlay districts. I believe overlay districts is the question. So there are 5 other counties out there doing it the way the ordinance is drawn up currently. So that's just background.
I know. We know too, that one county was sued because BZA didn't do something right.
They had an ineligible
Come
member.
back, so my opinion as president, I'd want to know if we're right or wrong. You know, are our questions right or are we wrong, what we're doing? Because I'd hate to say what the other counties are doing and say a year from now, 2 years from now, we get an application and we get sued because it's wrong. You know, I'd hate to be on the commissioner's side or our side. If we can stop it now, I'd like to see, like Bob's asking, he made a motion that we find out if we're right or wrong with the lawyer that has, you know, if we're right or wrong.
Let me add to that before we ask for a second again. This is a middle of the road approach. This does not make anybody necessarily happy, which means, in my opinion, that it probably is a good way to go. There are people in the audience, for example, that I'm sure would wish that we would take action tonight to litigate. That we're just going to do that without any of these kinds of things. So they are going to be somewhat disappointed. We have people within our own group that question whether or not we need to proceed and find out if there's grounds, et cetera, whatever, which, you know, that's okay for those people that feel that way as well. So what I'm suggesting is a middle of the road kind of thing that gives us an opportunity to find out if, one, we're clean, as Rob has mentioned, and two, if there is substantial ground for us to consider litigation at whichever meeting, however long it's going to take for us to get that review back. So this is not something that's going to necessarily make a lot of you folks who came tonight to hear that we're joining with the BZA. We are not doing that at this point in time. And we are taking a statement here to find out, do we truly have grounds to go forward? Are they substantial enough for us to consider going forward and to consider the conflict of interest kind of thing? So to me, I can't see a better way for us to go. So I stand by the motion and would ask for
Do we have a second?
second, whatever.
Based upon what you said and accepting my input for the amendment to include reviewing those any conflicts of interest that may or may not be there, hopefully not, I will second that motion.
So can we have a roll call, Brenda?
Atkins,
Yes.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Brady,
No.
Royals,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
House,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Wright.
Staying to due to a conflict of interest.
Okay, the next meeting,
Here, we had some notes.
we have none.
Carrie?
It's eight yeses, 2 noes, and 1 abstain.
Next meeting scheduled for December the 5th, 2022. Number 8, public input. We're gonna do this for 10 minutes, which 2 minutes to talk. So if anybody wants to come up to say anything about what we talked about tonight, may come up.
Rex, can I real quick, I believe the next council meeting is 16th.
If they're gonna make a request for money, it's gotta be in by what, Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, I think we're for appropriations, we're beyond. For transfers, I'll check, but we may have to wait till December. If we can get it done, I'll get it done tomorrow, but we may have to wait till December.
Tomorrow's what, Tuesday?
Oh,
Yeah,
Not
I
in
think,
tomorrow.
I think they gotta be in Tuesday or Wednesday.
now, usually appropriations are like 2 weeks out and transfers are like a week.
Yeah.
So if I can get it in, I will. If I can, I'll let everyone know.
It's open to public input. We got 2 minutes. We'll do it for 10 minutes. Would I like to speak? Anybody like to speak? If no one wants to speak,
Mr. Chairman, are we gonna, what a question, I mean, how do we get this in our packet about the
From what I was told from Ryan, when I called and asked about it, he said something I said, and he thought we might want that. That's as far as I know about it. Cause I wondered too why we got it. I called Ryan, he said, I said something about legality and some other stuff that he thought we might want that.
We had a conversation last month that, Mr. Maynard was going to bring up in the executive session. And he had said that he wanted me in it too in the beginning. So I wasn't in it, but I did add it to the packets because he was going to discuss it in the executive session.
So,
We can discuss this, didn't we? I don't remember. In executive.
some of that stuff we're not gonna get in our meeting. Our next executive meeting, I'll talk more about it to you. Okay, well, say it out here in public, because what we talk about in our executive meeting, I hope the board knows, it's between us, not to go out and talk, not to go up to Ryan's office, tell him what we discussed, it was between us, so let's leave it there. And when we have another executive meeting, we'll talk about that. So at this time, during this meeting, before everybody leaves, board members, I'm gonna patch you out.
Wait, I got one thing to say, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Before you leave, I'd like to give you the letter that was sent out. The email was sent in the office. I want everybody.